And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway here on Thursday Night Thunder. We are waiting for the drivers to finish up their qualifying efforts. A little bit about tonight. Tonight, we are at Daytona Beach, USA. That is in Florida. The track length is 2.479 miles. Track temperature is 75.79 degrees. Flash that actual weather. The air temperature is just 65 degrees, but the track temperature is a little bit warmer. Should still allow for a good race with plenty of grip. And hopefully everything's going well. Last night I had some issues, didn't realize it. My overlay was not working properly, so I want to apologize to all the fans out there last night. Overlay is up and working as it's supposed to tonight. Once again, welcome to Thursday Night Thunder. Our drivers, once again, are out there doing their qualifying. You'll see they're got the checkered flag status, so they will be lining up on pit road momentarily. Looks like the grid has started to grid up, so let's go ahead and bring up the qualifying order and our grid. Taking the pole position with a time of 48.964 is Edward Bray in the number 66. Gary Whitmer Jr. turning in a lap time of 49.030, going to be taking that outside lane. Rolling off third tonight will be John Rogers with the time of 49.040. Rolling off fourth will be Jack Walls in the number 83 car. Rolling off fifth will be Rick McKinney in the 21 car. Joel Guy in the number 91 car, going to be rolling off sixth this evening. Sharon Hill will be rolling off seventh. Sharon was running with us last evening. Glad to see him back. Chris Hogue going to be rolling off eighth. Rolling off ninth will be Danny Rudy. We have an invalid entry in the 10th position. Rolling off 11th is going to be Dalton J. Martin. 12th will be Brian Rainville in the number 60 car. Rolling off 13th will be Jamie Ronigan in the number 34 car. Showing some invalid entries again. Rolling off 14th will be Christian DeFalco in the number 36 car. 15th will be Dave Acacia rolling off in the number 20. 16th looks like the number 82 of Alex Kingsbury. Richard Brose will be rolling off 18th on the outside of Steve Dutz in the number 14. Rolling off 19th will be Noah Martin. 20th, Mark Garrity. 21st, Andrew Singleton. 23rd will be Michael Siegel in the number 28 car. '25th will be Blake Guy in the number 47. Dion Fialo will be rolling off 27th in the number 31. 38th will be Dale Gravel. 29th will be Carson Brown. 30th will be Lee Ryerson Jr. 31st, that's me, I won't be gridding this evening. 32nd, Alan Botello. 33rd will be Shane Billings. 34th, Landon James. 35th, Michael Kelly. And that is your qualifying order as we get ready to go green. Pace car will be ducking off momentarily. As we watch the leaders getting ready to take us green flag racing. '66 jumps out to a slight advantage over the number 5 car. The number 22 of John Rogers pulling up to the rear end of the number 66 of Edward Bray. All these drivers trying to make it through this corner without issue. Gary Whitmer Jr. in the number 5 in the outside lane has a helper, number 3 of 83 of Jack Walls. Gary Whitmer Jr. pulling even with Edward Bray with the help of Jack Walls on the outside lane. Edward Bray, your current leader. John Rogers sitting in second/third place with Gary Whitmer Jr. on his outside. The number 21, Rick McKinney on the inside. The number 83 of Jack Walls on the outside. The number 7 car of Sharn Hill, third car in line on that outside lane. And behind those 6 cars, we have single file Danny Rudy and Dave Acacia. Falling back to that second pack is Joel Guy. Joel Guy running back there with Lee Ryerson Jr. and Chris Hogue. This is definitely a point of the race. You don't want to get too far behind this lead pack and lose the draft. These cars will have to get them moving. As we go around this 2.5 plus mile speedway at speeds of 199 plus miles per hour. Take you back up to our leader. Your leader, Edward Bray. Edward Bray's last lap time of a 45.086. That was this fast lap. Gary Whitmer Jr. making a challenge on the outside lane, currently being helped by the number 83 of Jack Walls. Dave Acacia and Danny Rudy have caught this 6-car pack, making it an 8-car pack now. Gary Whitmer Jr. still fighting hard on that outside lane, trying to get up in front of the number 66 car. Number 5 does clear the 66. That will leave the number 83 out there all by himself. Will put Gary Whitmer Jr. up in the number 1 position. I'd like to give a big shout out there to the KMA TV fans out there on that KMA TV chat. Welcome back, Mr. Hyperset, and hello again, Miss Becky Whitmer. Take a ride with the new camera setup we've got going on tonight. We're going to jump on top of the number 66 car of Edward Bray. Edward Bray right behind the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. As we look rearward, we've got the 22 of John Rogers to his inside, the number 7 of Sharn Hill to his outside. Ducking in behind John Rogers is the number 83 car of Jack Walls. As we spin back forward, we'll watch Edward Bray push on the number 5 car of Gary Whitmer Jr. Notice how Edwards being very careful to be squared up on that bumper when he's going to push him as not to turn him. We have that issue a lot here at super speedways where a driver will bumper hook a driver in front of him unintentionally. Spin the camera back around one more time as we watched the boys in the back fight for position. Looks like Danny Rudy's found his way to the outside lane. Going to try to work his way up. Let's go ahead and jump on board with Danny Rudy. Danny Rudy leading the outside lane right now. Got the number 7 of Sharn Hill behind him. Going to try to push him up towards the front of this pack as we spin the camera back around. Looks like the number 7 of Sharn Hill decided that he was going to go his own way. David Casey making a move to the outside. David Casey making his move towards the outside lane. Gonna try to see if he can get some help moving on up front. Try to battle with the number 66 and the number 5. Big shout out there to Lee Staples for joining in on the KMA TV chat, as well as our league owner, Scott Kolovic. Gary Whitmer Jr. going up high, picking up that outside lane. Must have seen the outside lane coming. Maybe Edward Bray might have been getting hot. Not sure. That'll give Edward Bray the chance to take the lead back here. As David Casey comes up to the rear bumper of Gary Whitmer Jr. Going to give him a shove. Let's go on board with David Casey. As Gary Whitmer Jr. moves down to the inside lane, David Casey stays up in that outside lane. Spin the camera around, see who's working with Dave. That would be the number 7 of Sharn Hill pushing on David Casey. Going to try to get David Casey up front. Got Danny Rudy right behind Sharn Hill. Not quite clear. David Casey will not be able to come down and pull in front of this pack. Third in line there, you'll see the number 22 of John Rogers on that inside lane, followed by the number 83 and the number 91. Jump up to blimp mode here, and we'll see the cars are pretty tight together as Gary Whitmer Jr. was on the bottom lane. Edward Bray said, "I've had enough of this," and jumps to that top lane with the help of David Casey. Going to try to get around Gary Whitmer Jr. That inside line having to check up just slightly as the 22 gets to the number 5. The 66 pulls down. The 20 decides he's going to stay up. Got the 7 of Sharn Hill behind him. Going to try push on him. Gary Whitmer Jr. getting to the back bumper of Edward Bray. We are on lap 11 of 100, so far caution free. Going to knock on some wood as it looks like we have Chris Hogue coming out of the pits. Going to try to blend in with the traffic, but he's way low on speed. Will not be able to keep up with the pack. That will put Chris Hogue one lap down. Edward Bray out there leading the charge with David Casey on that outside lane. Field doing a very good job of staying clean and green so far. .22 of John Rogers decides he's going to pull up high and see what he can do. We're right along with David Casey. This is a view from the left front as we're going to go 3 wide through the tri-oval as they pass the number 21 car of Rick McKinney. That puts Rick McKinney 1 lap down. John Rogers not abandoning that outside lane. He continues to try to work that outside lane with the help of David Casey. They are starting to move up on the number 66 car of Edward Bray. Charn Hill pushing on the number 20 as we spin the camera back around. David Casey going to give a shove to the number 22 when he can get to him. Try to get him out in front of that number 66 so he can get some air to that car. Oh, a little bit of shimmying, a little bit of shaking going on there. Keeping it green. These drivers have great awareness tonight. Let's go ahead and jump down with some of these cars. We're going to start with our leader, Edward Bray. Take a look at some of these paint jobs. Edward Bray in the KMA Racing Reaper number 66 Impala. Behind him, we have Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr.'s led 8 laps so far. Jumping back 1 more position, we have the number 22 of John Rogers on the outside. John Rogers leading 1 lap so far. Jumping back 1 more position, David Casey has started 15th, currently up in 5th place. Led no laps, but is definitely pushing people along to the lead. Jumping back 1 more position, the 3rd car on the inside lane here, Jack Wall, started 4th. Led no laps as of yet, but the race is still early as we are on lap 16 of 100. Jumping 1 more position back, Charn Hill. He started 6th. He's currently sitting in 7th position, matching the car number in that camouflaged DuPont car. Jumping back 1 more position, we've got Joel Guy in the 91 City Chevrolet Days of Thunder Special. Jumping back 1 more car to the 125 of Lee Ryerson, just 0.4 seconds off the lead. Lee Ryerson started 30th. There wasn't actually that many cars out here tonight, but rated up in the 30th position, has found his way up to the 8th position. Jumping back 1 more position, we've got Danny Rudy rounding out our 9th position. Last car on the lead lap. Danny's led no laps tonight, but has a fast lap of a 44.775. Jump back to the next car left on the racetrack is Chris Hogue, who is currently showing 4 laps down, unfortunately. Chris Hogue must have had an issue early on. Chris Hogue in the number 6 RTK Motorsports car, sporting a carbon fiber type paint job. If we can get in closer to it, you'll see the carbon fiber on the paint job. Great looking paint job as we jump back up to our leaders. Looks like Chris Hogue was going into pit road 1 more time. Our leader is Edward Bray, currently leading at 9 laps so far. Has the help of Gary Whitmer Jr. Inside lane prevailing at this time. The number 22 of John Rogers and David Casey are working well together on that outside lane as they start to move forward and try to mount a challenge. A little bit of wiggling going on there. about time for our first trivia question of the evening. As we watch our leader, Edward Bray, continuing to pace this field with the help of Gary Whitmer Jr. and the number 83 car of Jack Walls. The first trivia question of the evening is, what is the banking at Daytona International Speedway? Banking in degrees. That's the first trivia question of the evening. As we have a change for the lead, John Rogers has found his way to the front. David Casey on the outside lane with Charn Hill pushing on the back of the number 20 car. That changes things up ever so slightly as Danny Rudy back there, that red car towards the back of the field, seems to have lost the draft. We are on lap 21 of 100. Charn Hill diving to the inside, gonna abandon that outside lane. David Casey is stuck out there all by himself. Probably gonna go to the end of the pack here. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, just a few cars out there tonight, so being back in about 8th position and really not that big of a deal. David Casey falling back further though, needs to be careful not to lose that lead draft. John Rogers leading on lap 22 of 100. Edward Bray pushing on. The number 7 gets down on the apron, gets a little bit loose, gets out of control. At least Ryerson and Joel Guy saw it coming and got up and got out of the way. No issues. We stayed green, jumping back to the number 7 car of Charn Hill. That will help the car, the number 10 car of Danny Rudy, Dave Acacia, as we jump down towards the track, and we'll see the number 7 and the number 20 have gotten hooked up. That will actually help Dave Acacia get back up to his pack. Dave Acacia will hook up to a bumper of the number 7 and push them both, or take them both back up to this pack of cars. We have completed 23 of 100 laps. Drivers are going to have to start thinking about pit strategy here very soon. Charn Hill going high, thinking David Casey may go with him with the run that they had. He did not initially go with him, but does decide to go ahead and duck up and go to that outside lane. Joel Guy moving up ever so slightly out of turn 4, almost got into the number 7 of Charn Hill. Charn Hill seeing what was coming and actually moved up out of the way. Very good job by that young man. And looks like we have an answer to our trivia question. 31 degrees is the banking in the turns here at Daytona International Speedway. Someday, Becky Whitmer, I will stump you. We have a spinner. We're staying green. Let's jump back to the number 20 of Dave Acacia. Dave Acacia getting it going. That's going to be tough luck for him. Let's back it up real quick. Gonna have to go to a different angle. Back that up one more time. And we're going to jump to Joel Guy. soon as I can find Joel Guy, having an issue finding him here on the list. There we go. There's Joel Guy. For that chase cam. Number 20 coming down. Oh, was not clear of the 91. Unfortunately, getting the 91 all kinds of sideways. Joel Guy taking it for a big ride. Not coming to a stop on the track. That is what kept the caution from coming out. Joel Guy gets it going. Spins it around. Stays off of the racetrack. Gets going. David Casey gets going, and that's why we are still under green. This is Joel Guy live taking it into the pits. Unfortunate incident for both the number 91 car and the number 20 car as we go back to our leaders. John Rogers currently sitting in that number 1 position. Spin it around, we take a look. Edward Bray, you can actually see his helmet painted up like a skull. Unfortunate break for the number 91 and the number 20. We go into blimp mode and take a look at these cars starting to kind of spread out a little bit. 125 is currently at the top of the racetrack. Now drops down behind the number 7. Number 7 has a slight gap between him and the 83, or he and the 83 car. John Rogers leading. Go ahead and show you our running order. John Rogers is out in front. Edward Bray is in second. Gary Whitmer Jr. is in third. Jack Walls is in fourth. Sharon Hill fifth. Lee Ryerson sixth. Danny Rudy seventh. Danny Rudy 27 seconds behind. David Casey at 38 seconds behind. Joel Guy now 2 laps down. Chris Hogue 8 laps down. And those are the only 10 cars out on the racetrack at this time. Number 7 car, Sharon Hill, has caught these front 4. Now Lee Ryerson will have to try to do the same before he loses the draft. Lee Ryerson running down that lead draft. As we take a look, we have some of the cars pitting. Jump down and grab Edward Bray. Edward Bray coming onto pit road. Like the 7 and the 66 may have just gotten together unintentionally. Wondering if anybody got a speeding penalty here. We may know very shortly. As we look down pit road, we see the number 66 and the number 5 car getting ready to get service. The number 66 car is away. The number 125 car is away. The number 7 car is away. Unfortunately, looking like the number 5 may have gotten a speeding penalty coming in. Gary Whitmer now away. That will put him some seconds behind. This will definitely break up the field considerably as we see Danny Rudy now coming on to pit road. And we also have the number 22 of John Rogers on pit road. See Joel Guy and another car couldn't make it out coming off pit road. John Rogers off of pit road. This will be interesting to see. I do believe that will cycle everyone through on pit strategy, let's go ahead and take a look from the blimp at our current leader. As we jump to our leader is being shown as Jack Walls. Jack Walls now pitting. So I was incorrect. Jack Walls had not pitted. He is now pitting. Green flag pit stops are changing everything up, folks. That will put John Rogers into the lead. John Rogers currently sits, well, this hasn't quite updated yet, but Edward Bray just a couple seconds behind John Rogers. As we see the number 83 car coming out of the pits, will undoubtedly not be able to get it up to full speed as the leaders go by. He can only hope to tag on to one of these other lead cars. Number 83 car pulling up high onto the racetrack, hoping he remembers what the rules are here. Edward Bray making his way up to the 83 car. Lee Ryerson Jr. currently sitting back in the 4th position. Edward Bray will probably latch onto the back of the number 83 car and shove him up. Maybe not. Edward Bray going around the number 83 with the 125 of Lee Ryerson hot on his tail. John Rogers still being shown as our leader. Going to have the help of Dave Acacia. Dave Acacia 1 lap down, so he's really going to want to get around the 22 car or stay in very close proximity to them in case there is a caution flag that will put him in the lucky dog position. Green flag pit stops kind of playing out here. Broke up the field momentarily. Looks like it is going to change things a little bit. The number 20 pulling high. Edward Bray is going to split him down the middle with the help of Lee Ryerson. Lee Ryerson not quite on the back bumper of the number 66. The number 83 decides he will possibly stay behind, stay in line with the 22 car. As we currently run, Edward Bray, bring up our running order now that everybody has cycled through. Edward Bray is actually your leader. Lee Ryerson Jr. is in 2nd place. John Rogers is in 3rd. Jack Walls is in 4th. Sharn Hill, 10 seconds off of this lead pack, is in 5th. Gary Whitmer Jr., some 20 seconds back, is in 6th. Danny Rudy, 43 seconds back, probably just about to be lapped here shortly. Dave Acacia 1 lap down. He is the 5th car in line, as you see on the screen now. Joel Guy 2 laps down. Chris Hogue showing 7 laps down. That is your current running order on lap 36 of 100. As we see Danny Rudy about to go a lap down to the leaders, he will have a difficult time tucking in and keeping up with this lead pack. I guess it's time we go for a ride inside with one of these drivers. Let's jump in with Jack Walls. Take you for a spin with the gyro cam. Jack Walls inching up to the bumper of the number 22 of John Rogers. Directly behind Jack Walls is no one at this time. Excuse me, David Casey is actually 5th in line there. As we jump up to our roof cam, you'll see David Casey is right there 5th in line. Danny Rudy following further back with no draft. Spin the camera around. As we ride along with the number 83 of Jack Walls. Jump back to Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr. being shown 22 seconds back from the leader. Unfortunately, Gary Whitmer Jr. out there all by himself. No one to draft with. I take that back. Gary Whitmer Jr. has found drafting help. He's got Joel Guy and Chris Hogue. That will certainly help keep Gary Whitmer Jr. from going a lap down. As we jump up into blunt mode, that is Gary Whitmer Jr., Joel Guy, and Chris Hogue. They are currently about 22 seconds behind the leader. Jumping back forward to our leader. Edward Bray continuing to lead. Lee Ryerson Jr. sitting in second place. John Rogers and Jack Wall is going to make a move to the outside. Going to challenge the leaders here for that lead position. John Rogers wanting to get up front and lead some laps here. Jack Wall's getting to the rear bumper of the number 22. Going to push him along. David Casey is sitting back in that 5th spot on the track. He is actually 1 lap down to the leaders. Alrighty, time to dig up another one of those trivia questions and see if I can stump somebody out there. Here's your trivia question. How many stalls are at Daytona International? How many, not pit stalls, but how many stalls within the garage? Or garages. Give you a hint, there's 7 garages. How many stalls are there? That's the trivia question that I think I'll get you on. As we watch our race leaders, the number 66 of Edward Bray continuing to lead. Looks like the number 22 is actually going to lead this lap. 22 edging out Edward Bray by just the nose there, going through the start-finish line with the help of Jack Walls in the number 83 car. Leaders starting to single file it out again. The 83 has a run on the number 125. He's going to take it to the outside. The number 22 of John Rogers going to go ahead and follow the number 83 car. Some very tight side drafting going on between the 83, the 66, and the 125. Have to be careful, that can cause issues here. Becky Whitmer, I believe, is given the answer 82 stalls. Man, I gotta come up with some... I don't know where you're getting the answers from. I gotta find a new website. Becky Whitmer outdoing me once again. As we are coming to close lap 47 of 100 into the books, we've had 12 lead changes, no cautions. It is a 4-car race at the moment. Gary Whitmer Jr., now 24 seconds back, is going to need the help of a caution. And I hate to say that, but that probably being the only way that Gary Whitmer Jr. will be able to get back into this race. As well as Dave Acacia. Dave Acacia being one lap down and has lost sight of the leaders here. Number 83 and 22 continuing to work together to try to get by the 66 and the 125 on that inside lane. Trying a variety of different ways to do it, not seemingly able to do it. The number 22 car going under the 83 car. Not sure, maybe the 22 was getting warm. May have needed to cool off the car, or the 83 and 22 decided to swap places maybe. Let's jump back to our 5th place runner, Gary Whitmer Jr., and see how that pack of cars is doing. Gary Whitmer Jr., Joel Guy, and Chris Hogue continuing to run together. They are currently about 28, almost 29 seconds back off that lead pack. Go back up front, still the same story. Edward Bray on the inside lane with the help of Lee Ryerson. John Rogers on the outside with the help of Jack Walls. Outside lane just not being able to get it done right now. Also could be taking it easy and not pushing too hard. Lee Ryerson getting a little squirrely, gets down on that yellow line, saves it. Well, folks, we're going to take a commercial break here, and if there's any big time break in the action, I will bring us back live. Alright folks, welcome back. Not much changed while we were away. Number 83 car, Jack Walls, is trying to get a run on that outside lane and take advantage of the number 125 and the number 66 not getting hooked up. While we've got a chance, I'd like to send out some thoughts and prayers to John Henderson, one of our KMA racers who lives in Texas, was affected by that storm. John Henderson, not sure if you're watching or if you'll see this or hear this, but we got you in our thoughts and prayers. That goes, oh no, as the number 125 and the 83 get together. Jump back to the number 83 car real quick. It looks like we're going to stay green. Jack Wall's getting it going. He's going to take it down pit road. Going to go ahead and back that up and see what we can see happen very quickly. Watching the number 83 and the 125 going down the back stretch. Oh, it looks like the 125 just got up into the left rear quarter panel of the number 83 and sent him up to the wall. Unfortunate incident for the number 83 of Jack Walls. Jack Walls coming out of the pits and getting freight trained by. That will put Jack Walls now one lap down. Very unfortunate incident for the number 83 of Jack Walls. As we jump back to our leaders, we have the number 66 of Edward Bray, as well as the number 22 of John Rogers, with Lee Ryerson slightly lagging behind there. Now, as I was mentioning before that incident there, one of our own KMA drivers, John Henderson, was caught up in the storms down there in Texas. Thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, as well as anyone else that I do not know about from KMA. But this goes to just about anybody and everybody that was affected by that storm. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Chris Hogue coming out of pit road as the leaders go by. We are on lap 57 of 100. Pit stops for the leaders should be coming within the next few laps. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yes. Should be within the next, I'd say, 4 to 5 laps. We have been caution free. Pit strategy is about a fuel window of somewhere between 28 and 30 laps, depending on where you are in the traffic or in the pack. Since these guys are kind of running out by themselves, it'll probably put them closer to 28 to 29 laps. So we should be seeing the leaders on pit road here within the next couple laps. John Rogers really pushing on Edward Bray. Lee Ryerson falling off to about 0.6 of a second back from Edward Bray. Take a look at the number 125 car. The number 125 car needs to be very careful not to lose this pack, or this two-car pack is now showing just a little over 6.5 tenths behind. If he continues to lose time to the leaders here, he will eventually lose them completely, and his car will drastically slow down. See, that gap is staying pretty consistent. Lee actually making up just a little bit of time there. And now falls just a little bit back. Hoping he can stay with them until pit stops. That may allow him to close the gap during the pit stops. We are on lap 60 of 100, coming to 61. I expect to see these cars on pit road anytime here within the next lap or so, I would imagine. Lee Ryerson falling back to 7.5 seconds behind the leaders. Hopefully with pit stops coming, he will be able to catch that back up to them without getting in trouble. We'll watch his speed here, as I believe we're probably coming to pit stops here within the next lap or so. Looks like Lee Ryerson is closing that gap. Leaders down to about 193 miles per hour. And here comes the 66, the 22, and the 125. 125 getting their woad down, the 22 getting their woad down. Looks like all three of these leaders will have no problems getting onto pit road. Will not be any speeding penalties. Looks like we have a couple of cars that have already gone ahead and pitted, that being Gary Whitmer Jr. Looks like he has pitted already. As we watch the leaders depart pit road. Lee Ryerson Jr. moving from third to second on that pit stop. John Rogers will be out in front, as we see the number 5 car of Gary Whitmer Jr. coming into the screen here, trying to get his lap back the hard way. We'll go moving around the outside of the number 22 car, along with the 91 of Joel Guy. Also bringing Dave Acacia up to that pack. The number 125 and the number 66 have hooked up and gone around to the outside of John Rogers. Gary Whitmer Jr., Joel Guy out in front of the leaders. They are both, Gary Whitmer Jr. is now back on the lead lap. Joel Guy just 2 laps down. Lee Ryerson Jr., Edward Bray working on that outside lane. The And number 22 slowly closing the gap. Moving up to the rear of the number 91 car of Joel Guy. Gary Whitmer Jr., Joel Guy trying desperately to stay out in front of the number 125 car with the help of Edward Bray and the 22 of John Rogers now in that high lane. Lee Ryerson Jr. with the big run to the outside. Looks like he will move past the number 5 car of Gary Whitmer Jr. Going to be 3 wide going into the corner here. Hoping to keep it clean. It is clean. We stay green. Outside lane losing just a little bit of momentum. But the number 5 car has lost his pusher. That will definitely allow the outside lane to get a little bit better run to the outside. Number 125 has cleared the number 5 car. 66 just barely clears the 5 car. They both drop down. Gary Whitmer Jr. now on the back of the 66 car. Gary Whitmer Jr. is now unfortunately fallen 1 lap down as they are coming up on the lap traffic of the number 6 car of Chris Hogue. Lee Ryerson Jr., your current leader, has just led 5 laps, but he is out there in front showing the way. Edward Bray pushing on the back of the 125, the number 5 staying tucked in right behind the 66. The 91 doing the same. John Rogers is 5th in line, but 3rd on the position. He is actually in 3rd place, while the number 5 and the number 91 are laps down. Going to take a quick commercial break once again, folks. Anything changes or anything drastic happens, we'll break and we'll come back. And welcome back. Not much has changed. Number 125, Lee Ryerson, is continuing to lead this group of cars. Number 66 of Edward Bray continues to push on him, while The number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. sits just 1 lap down. Joel Guy 2 laps down. John Rogers is currently in 3rd position, 5th in line. Jack Walls is in 5th position, 6th in line. He is also 1 lap down. Joel Guy, 4th in line, is actually in 6th position, 2 laps down. Dave Acacia is also 2 laps down, and Chris Hogue is 10 laps down. We are within our pit window to make it to the end. The only question remaining is, when will the leaders decide to come in and pit? Will it be just a splash at the end, or will they short pit and take the fuel that they need and get back out on the track and go? As we now have a 6-car pack, the number 22 pulling up high, the number 83 was going to give him a shove. Might have checked up there just a little bit. Number 22 of John Rogers getting a run to the outside of the number 91. The number 83 is not really on his bumper like you would like. That is going to slow that outside lane down. Driver's getting a little wobbly there, not exactly sure what's going on. Lee Ryerson continuing to lead, but John Rogers is starting to mount an attack on that outside lane with the help of a lap down car of the number 83 of Jack Walls. Jack Walls showing he still has speed after that early incident. Went into the pits and got his backup car out and is back out here. Has plenty of speed, but unfortunately is 1 lap down. John Rogers being shown as your leader that time by. John Rogers losing momentum in that outside lane. Number 125 of Lee Ryerson continuing to lead with the number 66 of Edward Bray pushing on him. Number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. riding along in the third position on the inside lane. But he is 1 lap down, being shown in the 4th position. We'll bring up that running order real quick. This is your running order. Lee Ryerson is currently 1st, Edward Bray 2nd, John Rogers in 3rd, 4th, Gary Whitmer Jr. 1 lap down, then 5th is the number 83 of Jack Walls. Jack Walls and Gary Whitmer Jr. fighting for that position on the racetrack if a caution would come out to be the lucky dog. Then you've got Joel Guy 2 laps down, currently the 6th car in line. Dave Acacia has fallen 3 laps down. Chris Hogue 11 laps down. And that is all the cars that we have remaining in this race. Number 83 and the number 22 making a run once again towards the front. We are on lap 78 of 100, about to complete lap 79. There will just be 21 laps to go. Gary Whitmer Jr. and Joel Guy have backed off from this pack here, ever so slightly. Not sure if it was intentional or not, as the pack comes up on the number 20 of Dave Acacia. We will go 3 wide momentarily. No issues. Dave Acacia trying to latch on to the back of the number 91 car. Ms. 6 car pack continuing to try to shake things up between themselves. The number 125 out there continuing to lead this charge, as the number 125 is coming down pit road, locks up the tires, gets it woed down. The number 5 almost gets into the back of him. They do get it down to what appears to be the pit road speed before they come in. That was almost a very bad incident right there in pit road for the number 125 and the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. Now, that leaves John Rogers out there all by himself. Technically not all by himself, but he is the leader out there by himself. He does have the 83 car, which is a lap down, helping him get around this racetrack and keeping his speeds up, so it should not affect him as greatly as it might. John Rogers, Jack Walls coming around. We'll start to see the cars that were pitting, or that had pitted. They should be coming up on the screen here shortly. As you see Joel Guy, Gary Whitmer Jr. Edward Bray and Lee Ryerson 42 seconds behind the leaders. If we could pan out just a little bit further, you would see them just in front of the leaders. John Rogers here. Unfortunately, we can't pan out any further, but I can jump up to the 125 or Edward Bray. You'll see the leader is currently in the middle of 3 and 4, and there are the second and third place cars currently of Edward Bray and Lee Ryerson Jr. Lee Ryerson Jr. and Edward Bray currently running 192, almost 193 miles per hour, while our leader, John Rogers, let's take a look at his speed. John Rogers is currently running 194, 195 miles per hour. At this rate, there is a chance that John Rogers may catch our second and third place car and put them a lap down, as they are running 202 miles per hour down the backstretch. If we jump back to the number 66 car of Edward Bray, they're running 188 miles per hour. Looks like they're going to do a switch so Edward Bray can do some pushing on the number 125. That is going to cost them some time, as you now see both parties in the same picture. Edward Bray getting up on that back bumper of the 125 is going to push as hard as he can, try to make some time here, as they are at 192 miles per hour. We jump back to our leader once again. John Rogers running nearly 200 miles per hour. So the 4 cars versus the 2 cars right now is making a big difference. Now that will change as the number 22 and the number 83 both come down pit road. John Rogers getting it woed up in time. Number 83 looks like he got it woed up in time. Like John Rogers may have made up a good chunk of time there. It'll be interesting to see how the 22 and the 83 come out of pit road, if they come out together and merge together. Regardless, this 2-car pack is going to turn into a 4-car pack, and it'll be the same. It'll just be opposite of what we just saw. Lee Ryerson showing 193 miles per hour. John Rogers and the number 83 of Jack Walls up out on the racetrack. John Rogers out there currently being shown as our race leader. 83 car of Jack Walls, 1 lap down. They are currently 6 seconds in front of the leaders. Let's take a look at the speeds. John Rogers running 191 miles per hour. The leader, as our leader, the number 66 of Edward Bray, as we jump back to him, currently running 197, 198 miles per hour. They are showing 5 seconds back. We're going to go back to our leader, John Rogers, and we're going to show the compare. That will give us an indication and show us if that second pack is going to catch up in time. We have just 12 laps to go. They are definitely closing the distance, and it seems to be at a pretty rapid pace. We were down to 4.8, 4.7, 4.6 almost, 4.5, 4.4, 4.3. Yeah, the leaders are definitely going to catch them as we come to the flag stand. We cross and we have 11 laps to go. 89 laps of 100 in the books. The 22 of John Rogers and the number 83 of Jack Walls out in front of this group that's coming up behind them. The 125 of Edward Bray, or I'm sorry, excuse me, the 125 of Lee Ryerson Jr., 66 of Edward Bray, the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr., and then number 91 of Joel Guy. They are 3.8 seconds back from the leader, and they will close quickly. Not sure what happened, but it seems like the progress of the number 91 It is now just a 3-car battle, or a 3-car pack. Something happened with Joel Guy that caused Joel Guy to drop off the pace. We jump forward to Gary Whitmer Jr. So it is just a 3-car versus a 2-car pack. That will affect it ever so slightly, but as you can see, they are now coming into the screen. They are 3 seconds back with just 10 laps to go. We'll be coming to 9 to go. They are going to shave off another 1/10 of a second here. So we're at 2.8 seconds. We'll see where we are in 1 lap from now. John Rogers is out there leading with the number 83 of Jack Walls, pushing as hard as he can on that number 22. Then you have Lee Ryerson Jr. and Edward Bray. Once the 2 cars of Lee Ryerson Jr. and Edward Bray get to within about a second, that will be the draft, and that will speed them up very quickly. So in 1 lap, folks, it looks like they shaved off, we're not quite to there, we are 9/10 of a second. So with 8 laps to go, you can bet that the 125 of Lee Ryerson Jr. and the number 66 of Edward Bray are going to catch these 2 cars, the 2 cars of John Rogers and Jack Walls. They are now within 1.4 seconds. We will be seeing them right to the back bumper of the number 83 car very, very shortly. 1.1 seconds back. They are now starting to get some draft off of those cars in front of them, and this will allow the number 125 and 66 to close in very rapidly if they choose to. 125 looks like he's backing off just a little bit, getting the number 66 right up to his back bumper, and they are going again. 125 is going to take it to the outside. The 66 pushing on the number 125. The number 5 is going to go to the high side with the 66 and the 125. Lee Ryerson Jr. not sure what didn't look like if he knew whether to pull down or not, decided it wasn't the best time to pull down. 22 and the 5 doing some side drafting. 125 being shown as your leader. With just 6 laps to go, Lee Ryerson Jr. leading on the outside lane with the help of the number 66 of Edward Bray. Down on that inside lane, you have John Rogers and Jack Walls. Gary Whitmer Jr., the wild card in the back there, he is following that outside lane. We have just 5 laps to go. Lee Ryerson getting down, doing some side drafting. That breaks up that outside lane ever so slightly, but they do get a great run coming off the corner. Edward Bray dipping to the inside, possibly looking to get some air to that car, possibly getting warm. The number 125 goes down, slams the door on the number 22. The number 22 is going to get to the back bumper of the 125. Lee Ryerson feeling like his best shot to win might be pulling down on that inside lane. We are going to be 3 wide as we go through 1 and 2. Hopefully this will not be an issue. Chris Hogue going up high, keeping it up high. Edward Bray squeezing through the middle with Gary Whitmer Jr. on his bumper. Lee Ryerson Jr. down on that inside lane, being pushed on by John Rogers, who also looks like he may be, no, not being pushed on, just very close. The number 83 very close to the 22. 66 on that outside lane. Just 3 laps to go. Lee Ryerson Jr. looking like he's in a pretty good position right now. 66 pulling to the outside lane. Number 5 trying to get to the back bumper of the 66 and push him along. Looks like they get a pretty good run off that corner. Not enough to get by the number 125. '66 drifts up just a little bit. The number 5 getting to the back bumper of the 66. If this were the final lap, this race could very well go to the number 66 car. As we come down to just 2 laps to go, we're going to go to the number 5 car. Of Gary Whitmer Jr. We're going to go to that roof cam. As we watch the 66 on the outside lane. 125 is right there. 22 is also right there. 83 just behind. We spin back around. Probably a dead heat. We're coming on the last lap. We're going to go ahead and jump forward. The 66 car, they're not getting the run that they want. John Rogers jumping to the outside. This is going to be a 3 wide. Oh, and as we have a wreck, they are wrecking, folks. Lee Ryerson Jr. looking like he may end up being our winner. No caution has flown, so it will be whoever gets back to the flag first. Lee Ryerson Jr. currently in first position. Jump back to the number 66 car. 66 car coming across the line in second place. Like John Rogers will finish third. What an unfortunate incident on the last lap, folks. Let's go ahead and take us back 1 lap. Not sure what happened there. Let's go back and take a look real quick before we talk to our race winner. Jump into chopper mode. 22 makes a move. Makes a good move. The 125 goes to make a block. Oh, looks like the 66 might have hooked the 22. Well, that's what they say. Bring home the checker or bring home the steering wheel. And pretty much all these drivers are going to be bringing home the steering wheel, even though Lee Ryerson Jr. will come home your race winner. Alrighty, let's go ahead and see if we can get alrighty. Edward Bray looks like I'm not being able to raise John Rogers on the radio, so unfortunately I can't speak with our third place finisher tonight. I am going to be talking to you though, sir. Talk to me about that last lap. Pretty uneventful race, to be completely honest with you. Wasn't a lot of action going on with the amount of cars that were out of the race and had issues early on and whatnot. But talk to me about that last lap. Looked like you guys had a plan going on, and John Rogers made a drastic move, made a great move as far from our perspective, anyways, and then it all broke loose from there.
Yeah, pretty much that last lap it was go time. Ed Whitmer Jr. Behind me, so he was cooling off his car for that last push, and it just he couldn't get it back up quick enough, and John Rogers came up. Uh, Looked like the 125 had come up. I don't know. Everything happened so quick. I saw an opening, in the middle, and I have no clue. It's all a blur.
Copy that. Now we just watched the replay, and it looked like a bumper hook to me, but that was a quick just glance at it, and I'm not calling anybody out or anything like that. It just looked like there was a bumper hook there. I don't know who did what. It was unfortunate. Took all three of you guys out, basically, so to speak. Um, Fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it, fortunately, you were able to get it going again. You didn't have a ton of damage. Unfortunately, you slid so long through the grass that the 125 was able to get it going and get
Oh yeah,
across the finish line.
I was on the ice. Like I was like, is this thing gonna ever stop? Come on, come on, come on, stop!
We were actually riding with you. I had the first time tonight. I incorporated a roof cam, so that's something you guys might want to go check out. But had the roof cam on you, and you just went skating through the grass there. So, anyways, talk to me about the rest of your night.
Oh, the whole night was great. KMA teammates, were working together, and I know we had a breakaway uh, with five of us, do if I do remember correctly. But other than that, everybody was working together. Big shout out to all the KMA guys that raced tonight, and um, I know that Whitmer and myself and everybody else was working together, and then he got caught speeding coming down pit road, so that sort of put him a lap down. So from there, it was just it was a great race. Um, green flag, green flag pit stop. So that's one of the things that KMA strives for and pushes for is green flag racing, green flag pit stops, and everybody have a great time racing, all the way to the end.
Copy that. Well, we saw some great racing. We saw a lot of green flag pit stops. We did see a lot of incidents, one and two car incidents that kind of slowly took one car out of the race, or somebody would lose the draft and then they get a couple laps down and decide, okay, well, I'm done. So, unfortunately for us and for the rest of the fans, the field kind of dropped off slowly but surely because, not really because of the racing accidents that are so prone at the super speedways, because we did go caution free, but there were some incidents out there tonight, and then for some reason some of the guys just didn't seem to be able to hold on to the draft. And you know you and I had spoken about that in the past about how difficult it is to be the last car on in a pack, and if you're literally not up on the rear bumper of that car in front of you, if you take your focus away for just 1 second, you lose a quarter second to that car, and the next thing you know, you're three-quarters of seconds behind. And once you get three-quarters of a second behind of a big pack, it's over.
Oh yeah, no, parking is very very important here. Same thing with Talladega. You've got to be on the rear end of that car in front of you. But with that said, also having to watch your gauges. One of the things that happened to me last Thursday, I didn't pay attention, and I happened to see my oil gauge start blinking red, and that just threw the motor, and pretty much ended my night. So that's drafting is important. If you're not on that car, like you said, you will start to slowly pull back. That's one of the things that um, Gary Gary Whitmer and myself happened to see Joel happen to start falling back and back and back, and it was just for us it was pretty much go time. But yeah, it's unfortunate, you know, for you to lose the draft. Next thing you know, you're a lap down or 2 laps down, depending on the green flag racing.
Well, copy that. Talk to me real quick about the Reaper paint job, Black Talon Racing, and any shout outs you want to give out. And then we're going to go on, and we're actually going to talk to the fourth place finisher since I can't interview the third place finisher.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is the Black Talon Reaper Impala, painted by Tim Ebenheiser with Gary Head Paint. Did a great job. Um, Big shout out to Scott Kulovic. Hope he's feeling better. And, big shout out for you for broadcasting tonight, and a big shout out to the rest of the fans. And thanks for the KMA drivers that came out tonight.
Copy that. Well, appreciate you coming out here and supporting Thursday nights, and congratulations on a second place finish.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gary Whitmer Jr., you got a copy?
I got you, Ron.
All right, not exactly probably the night that you wanted. However, you did cross the line fourth. You never gave up, which is something that I can't say about some of the other drivers. Unfortunately, some of those guys did give up, and well, you didn't. So, talk to me about your night. I know it looked like you might have had a pit road issue.
Speeding penalty. I just served 15 seconds, so that's what dropped me back.
Copy that. So, the rest of your night, I mean, you were up there. You looked solid. You were running with the leaders. Um, just talk to me real quick about your night, since I don't get a chance to interview our third place finisher.
Yeah, I had a lot of help from Edward, Ryerson, and Joel. They kept me in the loop of things and tried to get me up front. I was kind of hoping for a caution so I could get my lap back, but it never happened.
Well, you are not the only one. Becky Whitmer out there on the KMA TV chat was asking for a caution anytime would be good, she said. So I'm not sure if she is still there. She just said good night, but that was at 9:39, so she probably is hearing you right now. So if you want to give her a shout out, go ahead.
Yep, shout out to Mom and Dad. Love you guys, and thanks for the other fans that's watching as well.
Copy that. Well, I just wanted to talk to you real quick, congratulate you on a fourth place finish, and thanks for sticking it out and coming out tonight and racing with KMA and putting on a show for the fans.
Yep, thank you too, Ronald, for broadcasting.
Copy that. Alrighty, and now finally, the man of the hour, Lee Ryerson Jr. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's happening?
Not much. Talk to me about that crazy finish.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy finish. It wasn't the finish I was looking for. I was I seen Edward and I believe our other teammate behind him. They were working together a little bit, and I was in the front. Figured I'd move up, let them get the draft, move back down, and I kind of owe Edward a win. Usually, us drivers don't want to give up a win, but sometimes it's always nice to help a fellow friend out. And I guess the lower line had a quite of a run going and gave me a little bit bump, and I think it sent me sideways, which caused that mayhem. But at least it was on the last lap, and it was a good, great, fun race. And I got to thank Edward again for, working with me tonight and helping me with some little tips here and there. And all you guys and the sponsors, and hopefully if Scott gets better, and if he's watching, definitely get better, buddy, because I'm going to be seeing you in a couple days. Thanks to Blaze Pizza and everybody else that puts this on. So how'd you enjoy it up there tonight?
Believe it or not, I don't like cautions, but tonight would have benefited from maybe a caution or two. It was definitely a racer's race, from the perspective of being a race car driver. I would have loved to have been in the position that you, Edward, and John Rogers were in. It was just you three. It was going to be decided between you three. Nobody could touch you guys. There was nobody else left on the lead lap. I'm sure you heard me talk Some of the drivers made mistakes. Some of the drivers just lost the draft, but in the end, that came down to 3 cars. So I don't want to say that it was a boring race, but it wasn't as exciting, I guess, as other races until it came down to the last couple laps when you guys all finally got back together. Then it became the race that we wanted it to be, and you know, sometimes things like this happen on the last lap where everybody's jockeying for position and things happen. You just have to go back and watch the replay. I don't exactly even know, to be honest with you, what happened. I looked at it real quick to see what happened. We saw John Rogers move up, and then it looked like it was going to be 3 wide for a second, and then people were sideways. So we didn't spend a whole lot of time worrying about the replay because we knew we needed to talk to the top 3 and close this thing down for the night, as it's already, you know, getting close to people's bedtime. So I still enjoyed the race. Wish that we would have had a few more cars out here tonight. Love seeing big car counts. It makes things a little more exciting. But at the same time, as a race car driver or a sim race car driver, either way you want to say it, I would have actually enjoyed being out there in yours and Ed's and John's position, because it's a unique position to be in.
Yeah, 10-4 on that, and like I said, it was kind of good. And sometimes, you know, you are right about far as the smaller car fields, but when we get a bunch of us guys out here that are teammates and a couple other, you know, guys out here that they're respectful and run good, it's always fun because, you know, you kind of learn and you kind of adapt to other drivers. And you know, so yeah, I could see the fans, you know, some points, you know, the cautions are okay, but you know, it's always fun though when you're out here with a couple great drivers and wheeling and dealing. Like you said, when it comes down to the last lap, it's all holes bar, and you know, at least this win, I have enough fuel to do a burnout, so I guess we'll call it out without me burning it down. And once again, like I said, thanks to all our sponsors, and hopefully, if Scott's watching out there, you're getting well, buddy, and eat some chicken noodle soup or something, because vacation's coming pretty soon, bud. And once again, thank you for you know, you putting on the televised race tonight, and you know, thanks for all the fans out there watching, my wife, my daughter, and anybody else out there that is watching. So let me burn it down, and we'll close it out with that.
Copy that. You took the words right out of my mouth. Congratulations on your win tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
You got it, bud.
Alrighty, that will do it for us here at Daytona International Speedway. Gonna flash up the results here, and on behalf of KMA TV, KMA Racing, RTK Motorsports, want to thank all the fans out there for tuning in, watching the race. Want to thank all the races for coming out here and supporting KMA TV and KMA Racing. Till next time, on behalf of KMA TV, KMA Racing, RTK Motorsports, this is Ronald Klein, and I'll see you next time.